Hi everyone, welcome back to Nasedianka, the channel where I talk about Bulgarian culture, history, tradition, customs, and faith. Today I am going to tackle a quite difficult, I would say hot topic of conversation. Those of you who already follow me might say, well, that's the theme here anyway, and I would agree. I do typically choose to tackle difficult conversations, but today the theme in particular may be quite triggering. For me, it's a very sensitive topic. It is the theme about the argument concerning Macedonia and Bulgaria. And as we Bulgarians say, that is our Bulgarian Macedonia. I've mentioned to you guys before in quite a few videos in my past that I would someday begin to talk about this. So I feel that this is the day. The day has begun. So as I typically do, I translate articles, interviews, books, whatever materials I find from the Bulgarian language into the English language, and I use that as a skill that I have so that I make it accessible to all of the English speakers. And so, as I've done in the past, chances are that I'm going to divide my presentation in a few parts. If that's the case, just make sure that you follow through on my channel the numbers of the parts. I write the number of the episode. It's pretty self-explanatory. It says part 1 out of however many parts there are, part 2, part 3, and so forth. So the article today is an article that was published on January 8th in the year of 2022. It is entitled, well, in the Bulgarian language, it sounds like Недоизказаната, Истина за Македония. In the English, this literally means the truth about Macedonia that has not been told thoroughly. It was written by Lilia Kostova. I found it very strong, and on a personal disclosure, again, as much as I care about humanity and about people, and I have a very soft spot for Bulgaria, more so that Bulgaria is laying at the cradle of civilization, of human civilization, and also considering that I do work with, providing services to people who have experienced trauma, it really touches me deeply to see my own people suffer, be oppressed, be trapped in a very corrupt and criminal situation. So more so that since the medias don't talk as much, especially again in the English language, this has not been popularized throughout the English world. I don't know if you guys have been informed of this. I would be very interested in learning how you got access to that information. But it's a hot topic mostly discussed in Bulgaria, in the Bulgarian language, and it kind of remains enclosed. Our people are making efforts to help our people that are scattered around the world. And again, today I'm focusing on Macedonia. And so, humanly speaking, this touches me. I wish that I could also help somehow. So, it may remind you in some terms of the current situation. I mean, we are the year of 2023. We have just gone through a lot of craziness concerning, COVID, shutdowns, Russia and Ukraine, dichotomy. I'm not even going to go in details. And clearly this is for pure focus on Bulgaria here. So if you already know you're going to be triggered, well, use your own judgment and decide for yourselves whether you want to follow this or not. But if you really want to reach to the truth, this is the channel for you. So I will talk about Bulgaria and Macedonia's situation. Okay, so in this part, I think it would be worthy of just mentioning that this is let's start from here. So the article informs us that there is a barrier to popularizing the truth in her factual fashion, and I agree, couldn't agree any less than that. There are problems that stand in our ways to making the truth accessible to the general public. West Europe displays a level of stubbornness and kind of like horse-blinded ignorance in face of the Balkans' history. This doesn't surprise Bulgarians in general because we are well aware that West Europe in general suffers from low levels of self-confidence in regards to Bulgaria, the history of humanity, especially since the inception of the new Bulgarian state in the end of the 19th century. Why is all that? Why is that happening? Well, it's precisely because the Bulgarian culture and nation as a whole are indeed the oldest civilization in Europe. Can you all imagine West European countries acknowledging that the origin of European civilization started from a tiny little Bulgarian country that, you guys think about the United Kingdom, think about even Germany or Spain and Italy, not to mention France. And I do have warm feelings for those countries. I mean, I went to a French school and I studied their language. I have wonderful friends in those countries as well as family. But I'm speaking here about the politics, okay? So those West European countries, their political leadership, rejoice in seeing Bulgaria appear poor and decrepit in the eyes of the world. So for this very basic reason, it will not be easy for the European Union, for instance, to accept and admit the historical, in other words, the factual information and its whole truth of the Balkans. So indeed, this historical truth reaches far back beyond time, far back in time, back to the 10th century in this case, when the empire of Charlemagne, or Karl the Great, Charlemagne, set the beginning of the German state. At that time, in that empire, how can I say, the people spoke German language, and those were predominantly the uneducated and poor villagers, whereas the elite was using the Latin language. That is the same time when Bulgaria translated the Bible, by the way, in the Old Bulgarian language. So if you all ever hear about Church Slavonic, and I've heard from, typically English-speaking people will say, well, is Church Slavonic the same as Russian? Is Orthodox Christian Church the same as, the church in Greece or the church in Russia or the church in Bulgaria? Great questions, and I will dig more in that. But yeah, the church is one. The church is unchangeable. The church as she was established by Jesus Christ has not changed since the first centuries. And Bulgaria is one of those countries, is the country where the Apostle Andrew has walked and spread the unadulterated information directly from Christ. So the language, I have spoken about it in previous videos, as far as the Church Slavonic language goes, that is Bulgarian, you guys. That's purely Bulgarian. The brothers Cyril and Methodius, they used the local dialect language, which was Bulgarian, and they created the alphabet based on the ancient Bulgarian alphabet. And later on, through the centuries, that information trickled and spread out throughout Europe, and Russia included. So the irony here is that emphasis was put on this argument in particular by precisely like Macedonia's traitor, Georgi Dimitrov, during the Leipzig trial for the Reichstag burning in the year of 1933, in which he was accused. So the question arises, how can West Europe be convinced not to close her eyes ignorantly or blasphemously before the truth of all ages? a forgotten prime minister of Bulgaria, proposed an extremely simple solution. That the dispute between Bulgaria and Macedonia over history should be included in a separate chapter in the negotiations of Macedonia's access to the European Union. He was the prime minister of Bulgaria for the duration of 4 years, but he remained a convenient target for all of the real culprits for the failure of the Bulgarian transition to democracy. His name was Ivan Kostov. He was a true patriot, indeed one with a vision supportive of the recognition of Macedonia, one that could have avoided bloodshed near the borders of Bulgaria. He gave an air corridor to NATO planes and categorically refused the world leaders, that Bulgaria should accept Albanian refugees. Of course, that's an insane idea when Bulgaria has been betrayed many a time already. So again, he did all of this in the name of peace in Bulgaria. Once again, I have translated this article from Bulgarian to English. And for those of you who want to look at the original, please look at the comment section wherever I'm putting the sources under my video, because that's that's where I place the resources in their originals. So the European Union does not care at all about the deep problems that are being experienced by the Eastern European countries on the Balkans, let alone about Bulgaria. And by the way, I completely agree with this. So let's take a little break here as I'm looking at my notes, and I put a number 2. So I think I'm going to divide this into 2 parts. We're going to actually discuss a little bit the facts that the European Union keeps silencing Bulgaria about with regards in terms to the history of betrayal. But they're facts that actually need to be given a voice of justice. And again, working in a trauma field as a mental health practitioner, I absolutely believe in giving victims, those who are silenced, a voice. This is a great example here. When I read articles like this and I see my country suffer, I am very disturbed. And I think that people need to be informed intelligently. So stay tuned. Follow through. If you're not subscribed on my channel, please do so. Subscribe. It's super easy. I will be continuing to feed you with this information. So look forward to the follow-up. And of course, if you're not interested in this information, you have the freedom of choice, right? And I respect your choices. So thank you so much. And I hope that you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.